Hey guys, Shawn Ray here for Shawn Ray TV. We are headed to the Joe Weider 54th Mr. Olympia Championship weekend in Las Vegas, September the 14th and 15th at the Orleans Arena, where Phil Heath is going for a record-tying number 8 Mr. Olympia Championship. And of course, Big Rami's trying to upset the apple cart along with William Bonin, Shawn Rhoden, and all the typical players, including the 2008 champion, Dexter the Blade Jackson. Let's get right down to the meat and potatoes of it. This is a contest where we're going to have about 5 or 6 names very familiar to the bodybuilding landscape. Of course, we'll get things started off with the veteran, Dexter Jackson. Dexter is near 50 years old, and I believe this is probably around his 16th or 17th Mr. Olympia Championship, if you want to go all the way back and count them. His first appearance was back in 1999. Do the math. I remember I was there in 1995 when he won the Junior USA Championships. And this guy's been nothing short of amazing. Junior National Championships, I should say. But Dexter Jackson has only gone on to win every major competition there is, including about 9 Arnold Classics on 3 or 4 different continents. He's also won the 2008 Mr. Olympia Championships. He's a GNC Championship winner. He's won in multiple countries around the world. And of course, he's trying to cement his legacy with a number 2 Olympia title. Now, how close and how reality is that? I'm not 100% sure. Dexter Jackson isn't beyond his peak. We might have seen the best Dexter Jackson has to offer only a couple of short years ago. We know that at the Arnold Classic this year, over in Australia, Dexter Jackson was knocked down a couple of notches because of a little bicep situation that he experienced following the Arnold Classic in Ohio. But you can never count the Blade out. He's a consistent, perennial top 5 finalist in that competition, no matter what age. Dexter the Blade Jackson is one of those guys where you can pretty much write it in that he's going to be in that top 5 of that lineup. This competition will be no doubt. I highly doubt he'll be challenging for number 1, which brings us to our next challenger in Rollin Winkler. Rollin Winkler came off a top 6 finish last year, went on to win the Arnold Classic over in Australia. Now, granted, that lineup wasn't as great, but he was able to beat a William Bonin along with a Dexter Jackson. So Rollin Winkler is finding his stride. All the size is there, the detail he needs to bring to Las Vegas, which he hasn't been able to do in years past. This year may be different, training over in Kuwait at the Oxygen Gym. Rollin Winkler is one of the more improved bodybuilders on the landscape and could be potentially coming into his prime. That leaves us with William Bonin, who a year ago was a first runner-up to, or a third runner, I should say, a second place runner-up. Second place finalist. He was third. He was third in the Mr. Olympia. Okay, and for him that was a big deal because he's only a little guy, maybe about 5'5" on a good day, but is packed with tons of muscle and lots of conditioning. He's been working with Neil Hill, who says he will bring him in bigger, more volume. I doubt that William Bonin being bigger is going to be a more competitive athlete. I believe William Bonin, if he's more ripped up and more shredded, will be more of a threat to taking out a big Rami than coming in bigger and trying to match Rami for size. He's got to be very careful with his detail, William Bonin. He won the Arnold Classic Championships. He is poised to try to move up one more notch, but he's got to go through the big man, and that's Big Rami. Rami is B-I-G with a capital B. First runner-up last year. He had everything to knock Phil Heath off of his pedestal except for the back detail. The back detail wasn't quite right, and the thighs are still a little bit overwhelming for the calves. But Big Rami, no question, is there to fight for number 1 and will be, if he comes in better condition, the odds-on favorite to knock Phil Heath off. Now, that being said, Phil Heath had a double hernia last year, a little bit of stomach distension going into the show, and it showed throughout, especially in between poses. It wasn't a good look for the 7-time Olympia champion. However, with the surgery behind him and a long offseason, Phil Heath vows to actually streamline his physique and come in light, a la 2001 Ronnie Coleman at the Arnold Classic. Now, if Phil does this, Phil's going to be unbeatable because a few pounds off of Phil is going to look like night and day when it comes down to that detail. When he turns around to the back where we know all these titles are won, Phil Heath will have a lights-out victory over everybody in that lineup, especially if he's able to streamline the waist. There's nothing else wrong with Phil Heath with regards to his structure, his physique, or his genetics. This will be a show for Phil. If he ties Lee Haney and Ronnie Coleman, that will be based solely upon his conditioning. He has to streamline that waist, and he's got to be mindful of it in between his poses. Now, where does that leave everyone else? We're going to have Steve Kuklo in the lineup. We're going to have Nathan Diasha, who's a very good, strong, up-and-coming bodybuilder in the lineup. We have Shawn Rhoden, who again has shown flashes of brilliance, but on the big day just can't get it together. He was a first runner-up at one time. He's tumbled down a few placements. He had a broken jaw. He had a baby. I mean, lots of things have been going on in the world of Shawn Rhoden, but he's no spring chicken either. 40-plus-year-old bodybuilder. If he's ever going to nail it, he's got to nail it this year. Structurally, he has all the tools. The triceps need a little bit more mass. The upper pec, and of course, the back needs a little bit more meat along the lines. We're going to find out whether or not he was able to do that with a successful offseason going into 2018. Lots of storylines in this competition coming up. We have Sergio Oliva Jr., who got to the Mr. Olympia by way of points, and that's going to be interesting. We know he's the only father and son that have been there, and I won't be so quick to write that off as never happening again, because I believe Lila Barada's son may wind up in that Olympia lineup one day too. But right now, it's Sergio Oliva, will follow in his father's footsteps, who back in 1967, 68, 69 won the title, and now he's going to be over there to test the waters and enjoy the fruit of his labor in that lineup. And we have some other new faces that are going to be there to challenge, or at least give us a glimpse at the future. But one thing is for sure, this will be for all the marbles for Phil Heath, going for number 8. And if I'm a betting man, I'm betting on the gift. Phil Heath, number 8 in a row. For Shawn Ray TV, see you in Vegas.